Hey guys, welcome back to the Kengan Maximum Tournament. Hope you guys are ready for this episode of the Kengan Maximum Tournament, where Hector Doyle will be facing off against the runner-up of the original Maximum Tournament, Jack Hanma. No bother in spending any time recapping, since nothing has changed about the format, and the announcer is going to recap the events of the last fight anyway. Let's just get into the match. Hope you guys enjoy. Ladies and gentlemen, please find your seats. Our next fight of round 1 will be beginning shortly. For those of you that don't remember or missed us earlier today for the first two fights, Kengan's own Murobuchi Gozo and Sawada Keisaburo fought a quick yet thrilling match that resulted in the immeasurable man's victory via an astonishing flying knee kick. Not long after, the Kurakuin's little master, Goki Shibukawa, engaged the behemoth from the land of the free, Adam Dudley, in an all-out slugfest, featuring signature moves from both fighters like Adam's high-stick shot or Shibukawa-sensei's Aiki that resulted in the dominant loss of the Kengan Association's fighter via the master's Dashinage, marking the end of the first cross-association match with the Kurakuin in the lead. It'll be a while before the Kengan Association gets the chance to redeem themselves, as today we'll be seeing two representatives of the Kurakuin Underground facing off against each other. The two fighters we'll be seeing fight in the match today are no strangers. While they've never actually fought before, this'll be a grudge match. In the White Tiger corner, a fighter more machine than man, having his body designed with weapons and tools for assassination through extensive surgery. An amazing story of a man who discovered the martial spirit. This man isn't just an android, he's a karate practitioner! And though his experience in the art is light, his dedication is not. 100 times a day, Katsumi Orochi once told him. Practice this punch 100 times a day, every day for the rest of your life, and you will know the way of the empty hand! Ah, jeez. Did he really have to tell him all that? And that's not exactly what I said, either. But you did say something like that, right? This man is also a master of the senses, being a powerful fighter despite being both blind and deaf. Standing 185 centimeters tall and weighing in at 85 kilograms. Representing a secret English prison that is asked to remain anonymous, the assassin himself, Hector Doyle! Despite the introduction, the arena remains empty. Confused, the announcer continues. And so, with no end to his arsenal of strength, his opposition would do well to proceed with caution or risk assassination. Sensing that Doyle might be a while, the announcer moved on. Be that as it may, his opponent is no pushover either. Coming from the Blue Dragon corner, we have a man whose tenacity, whose sheer power of will is unrivaled in this or any association. A man whose titanium bite is millions of times worse than his bark. A man who's spent his life growing stronger by any means necessary. The man who's willing to throw away his very life, his prospects for a tomorrow, just to win the fight of today. Standing at a staggering 243 centimeters tall, weighing in at an astonishing 201 kilograms. Representing the McNeil Women's Shelter for Single Mothers, the Cyborg Pacman, Jack Hanma! Jack also fails to enter the arena as the fighter is called, and so the announcer attempts to stall. Ladies and gentlemen, before we get started, we have a couple of cross-organization changes for this match. At the behest of both Katahara Metsudo and Goroko, joining me in the commentator booth as co-announcers, we have the lovely Katahara Sayaka and former Kengan fighter and commentary personality Jerry Tyson. Thanks for the warm welcome, and I'm hoping everybody's totally revved about this match. I can't wait until our fighters arrive. I feel the same way. Two men with prosthetic enhancements going head-to-head sounds like a thrilling match and a great way to start off our cross-organization commentary. Meanwhile, in a dark alley near Tokyo Stadium, a massive explosion goes off. Jack Hanma appears to have been caught in said explosion, stumbling out of the alley into a parking lot building, and a man wearing a fireproof suit slowly walks towards him. I never had a leg in this race. And while I now dislike resorting to underhanded tactics, as I've been introduced to the spirit of martial arts and the power of relying on one's own senses, I think this might be the only way to even the playing field. I'll fight you fair and square in the arena like I promised, but only after I've knocked you down a peg or two. The mysterious figure removes his helmet to reveal that he is, in fact, Hector Doyle. Glad you consider me threat enough not to pull your punches. You do what you've got to do to try and win, because you can be sure that I'll do the same. Jack appeared largely unscathed despite having been caught in Doyle's trademark dust explosion. Well, I see you fighters haven't been slacking on your training since we last met. You're a total monster, getting hit with that to barely any effect. But don't think that's all I've got. I hoped you'd have something else. This can't be too easy. I still owe you an ass whooping on behalf of a good friend of mine. A while back you did some very mean things to his younger brother, and as a personal favor to him, I've got to do something very painful to you. Is that why you saved me when I fought against Retsu? Is that what you were talking about? Bingo. Jack shoots in for the double with a spear tackle, but suddenly level changes for a collar tie-up. Unfortunately, his fingers get shredded to pieces by Doyle's collar razors, yet this does nothing to stop Jack. Doyle, smiling, expecting Jack to briefly hesitate from the shock of the sudden pain, is caught totally off guard as he is pulled over Jack's shoulder, mounted onto his hip, and smashed directly into the ground. What the hell? I just got hit with a bomb without flinching, and you thought some shaving razors were going to slow me down? Doyle stumbles back to his feet, laughing as Jack approaches. I guess you're right. Maybe something like this is a little more your speed. Doyle stands up straight as Jack lunges in for a bite and, with a click of his thumb, hits Jack square in the chest with his chest blast bomb. Jack tumbles backward and struggles to rise to his feet again, despite his best and notably immediate efforts. Doyle follows up the assault by rushing Jack with his joint blades extended. Jack takes an onslaught of elbow slashes, knee kick slashes, punch slashes, and kick slashes, yet slowly begins to rise to his feet. In one swift, powerful movement, Jack chop blows Doyle straight in the face, smashing him into the concrete ground once more. Profusely bleeding, Jack rushes to finish Doyle off with a bite. But as he does, Doyle barely has the wherewithal to aim his right arm at Jack's extended jaw and fire his spring punch. Surely if this hit Jack's open jaw, regardless of his determination, it would rattle his brain like any other person and knock him out. And yet, it didn't. It didn't hit. Oh yeah. I heard about this one from Kosho. Heard about the bomb and the blades too, but I had forgotten about the chest bomb. And the blades, there weren't much I could do about in that situation anyway. Jack scoops up Doyle by the waist and suplexes him straight into the cold, hard ground. How ironic. The reason you lost is the same reason I had to defeat you. You used all these same tricks on Kosho Shinogi. Smash cut to 30 minutes later in the Korakuen Arena. Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen, I've just received word that both fighters are here and ready to begin. Though this is apparently following a brief tussle outside of the arena. Just a reminder, we totally don't condone street fights. You guys are athletes and your fights are worth lots of money. Don't waste that on some stupid Macho Man competition in the streets. Also remember, your career could be at stake, fighters. Sponsors don't want that baggage. As for our audience, we apologize for the wait and hope everybody is rearing to watch a spectacular fight. Jack and Doyle enter the arena from their respective corners, both looking less than 100%. While Jack's definitely not going to let a couple of scrapes and bruises stop him, I definitely feel for Doyle. Being blind and deaf to start with, and now even looking worse than Jack. What? Blind and deaf? But his reactions, his precision. He was reacting so precisely he was almost reacting before I could move. I thought he was just predicting my movements, but this is something else. Don't count him out yet, Jerry. He's a karate master and he's got like super senses. Well, Sayaka, I don't know if I would say master, but those senses couldn't be considered anything less than super for sure. Ladies and gentlemen, today a Kengan Association referee will be stepping into this match. So please give a warm welcome to the ref with over 2 decades of experience, and who plans on sticking around for a decade more, the Devil Sergeant Yamamoto Koishi! Alright, gentlemen, you know the rules. No weapons. Everything else is allowed. Understood? Yamamoto was speaking to both men, yet maintained eye contact with Doyle the entire time. Jack gave him a nod. I understand. Alright, face your opponent! It looks like the referee Yamamoto Koishi is giving the go sign. Take your stances! Jack sinks down into his Godo stance, and Doyle enters a stance primed to launch a Seiken. A battle between 2 men who have given up so much for martial arts. One his senses and freedom, the other his very life. Which fighter will win? Yamamoto raises his hand and swiftly brings it down. Begin! Jack dashes forward while Doyle doesn't move an inch. Here we go! The third fight of round 1 starts off explosively! Damn! Jack's fast, but Doyle's just standing there waiting to clobber him one. Jack covers the distance nearly instantly and lets loose a jab, but Doyle defends against it immaculately with no wasted movement. That's not going to work. The man can sense vibrations in the air. He can feel the air current of your attacks before you've even fully launched it. The win is as good as ours. We can finally put some money in the prison's budget. Better pay our guards and better quality of life for our inmates. With some special perks for our daredevil Doyle, naturally. Jack moves in to tackle Doyle, but again, nothing comes of it, with Doyle redirecting Jack's weight as he tackles. Watch this guy, Metsu-chan. He may not seem like much as it is, but he's more than just some big tough foreigner. With a last name like the one he's got, I've got some high expectations. Jack circles around Doyle and takes his back for the rear naked choke, but Doyle launches a Seiken straight into Jack's face, giving him a split second to slip out of the choke. Wow, that blind guy sure is something. Reminds me of Muteba, but there's something about his movements that are off. I wonder if the big foreigner will notice. A height difference of nearly 2 feet, a weight difference of over 250 pounds. The bigger guy is better trained and less damaged, and the smaller guy, for all of his amazing senses, is pretty much only relying on one super sense. As far as I can tell, it's Doyle's fight to lose. But I've seen the little guy topple giants before, and I've certainly seen fighters defy all odds, so the flow isn't set yet. Now, I'd have to agree. Just like you said, his karate isn't amazing, though he's only ever practiced a single move, so all things considered, he's doing pretty well. That said, one perfected technique and the greatest enhanced senses in the world can't overcome Jack Hanma. Right now, it's up to Doyle to find it within himself to rise above this adversity, spoken like a true director, or rather a true sensei of his pupil. Jeez, never gonna hear the end of it from you two, am I? Jack attempts to tackle into a rear naked choke once more, this time sinking the choke before Doyle could slip out or strike him. Oh! Doyle's in trouble! Grappling is notoriously difficult for striking martial arts to deal with, usually dealt with through distance management. With the choke achieved, how will Doyle, a karate and striking weapons expert, escape? Indeed. Grappling is one of Jack's many strong suits, so it seems like Daredevil Doyle has run out of luck. I wouldn't count him out yet. It's my understanding that a large part of Doyle's striking game is elbowing with his blades. Even if he can't use his blades, if he uses his elbows, he might be able to work Jack enough for breathing room. Remember, Doyle is the most injured bruising and battery-wise, but Jack has severe burns and has been profusely bleeding for over 30 minutes, with only some basic first aid applied before the fight. And all of that at his request, no less. Doyle, as to be expected, struggles against the grapple and elbowed Jack at the ribs. Jack tightens his grip in response, tightening the belt around Doyle's neck and hanging him over the ship. No, but it was a familiar feeling. I think it's about time I call it. Or at least I should prepare. Toku-chan, just let the ref handle it. Yamamoto has been an extremely successful ref for many years. He knows what to do. If you say so. Jerry, I'm not sure if your strategy is working out for Doyle. You're right. He's struggling in a very compromised position. It was a long shot from the jump. Now hang on, you two, look! Doyle had managed to ever so slightly slip his hand between Jack's arm and his neck due to his slender body type and Jack's large muscles. Not bad. A tactic I've used once or twice. Sometimes it pays to be the little guy. Jack, my boy, you're fighting so hard as that time against your brother. I love you deeply, but the one thing I can never forgive you for is your complete disregard of the one thing I find most precious in this world. You and your life. Slowly, Jack's grip begins to loosen. Didn't want to resort to this at the offset, but half of the fighters here already know, just gotta make sure the newbies can't do anything about it even if they know. Jack proceeds to sink his teeth into Doyle's neck and tears out a chunk, causing him to bleed profusely, even more so than Jack. Doyle freezes and then begins to violently Seiken Jack in the face, panicking at the warm, gushing ichor seeping out of his neck. This is what you've had to become to win, but I'll stand by you no matter what. Ugh, biter fighters are screwed up. Reminds me of a Koya. Well, folks, it appears this is it! Can Doyle defeat Jack before passing out from blood loss, or is Doyle done for? Jack suddenly forces his head through Doyle's punch and sinks his rear naked choke tighter than ever before. One sense, one move. Back alley fights with all your same old tricks. You really haven't learned anything at all, have you? Doyle, due to increasing blood flow from panic and the choke cutting off what little blood flow his brain was getting, passes out. It's over! That's enough! That's enough! We have a winner! In a stunning display of striking, takedowns, and chokes, Jack has dominated his seemingly untouchable foe in what almost looked like, in addition to some biting, a normal MMA match! Sorry, your disciple may have his head in the right place now, but only polishing one move and one sense, even to an insane degree, just isn't enough. Naturally, you're right, but hopefully he grows from this loss. To have resorted to using weapons and jumping Jack before the fight, he must have been desperate to win, but to abide by the rules all the way to the very end, he can still get stronger. because he has the spirit. Wakatsuki smirks, and Katsumi beams as Doyle is carried away on a stretcher. The winner of Match 3 Round 1 is Jack the Ripper Hanma! Blast it all, I guess that chap's much too big and much too skilled a fighter. Well, I suppose the budget's just gonna have to figure itself out. I've got a prison to run. The competition looks a little stiff, Okubo. Are you sure you can handle someone like that? His MMA looks kinda shit. He's probably practicing a different martial art that just looks similar to MMA, especially looking at his stance. This will be the perfect opportunity to prove that Japanese men can beat big, strong foreigners, because that whitey's the biggest one I've ever seen. Come on, baby, we've got to get you to those doctors, okay? Probably for the best. I've got to tell Kureha that his debt is paid for anyway. Fight conclusion. Winner by rear naked choke 5 minutes and 1 second into the round. The Cyborg Pacman, Jack Hanma. Injuries sustained. Major second and third degree burns across the body. Major blunt force trauma to the face and chest. Major lacerations across the torso and arms. Minor lacerations on the hands. And a broken nose. Alright guys, thanks to everybody who participated in the vote, and I hope you guys enjoyed the match. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff, and be sure to be on the lookout for the next match, Ryan Curray versus Julius Reinhold, coming sometime this year, I guess. Anyway, I've been the master of YouTube Fist Kung Fu, and this has been the Kengan Maximum Tournament. Thanks for watching, peace.